Before watching this video, I recommend watching Nathan Cobb's excellent video on this website, which presents an insightful analysis of rows, motives, and rhythmic aspects of this fascinating work. The composer Elisabeth Lutyens is one of the first British adopters of 12-tone compositional techniques, beginning with her Chamber Concerto No. 1 of 1939. Lutyens stated that she developed her 12-tone technique independently of Schoenberg by studying the Baroque composer Henry Purcell's string fantasias. Lutyens wrote numerous works, including a number of film scores, and published an autobiography entitled A Goldfish Bowl. Lutyens' trio for violin, viola, and cello, Opus 57, is a 12-tone work. The pitch content of the second movement comes from 6 rows from the same row class: P1, R5, R11, R6, R8, and P11. Each row is realized in a similar fashion, containing 2 melodic gestures. I've labeled them X shown in green and Y shown in light purple, which have some slight rhythmic, intervallic, and timbral differences. There also is a repeated accompanimental gesture, shown in yellow, that reappears throughout the movement but won't figure into my analysis. We hear the first 4 measures of this work. Given that each row is realized in a similar way, containing similar gestures and sounding somewhat similar, how does the composer create a sense of form? One might notice that the first and last rows are P rows, while the middle 4 rows are R rows, suggesting a sort of ABA prime ternary form. But is there anything else that suggests a ternary form? We'll start by looking at pitch class invariance to find out. Examining the first row, P1, we notice that pairs of adjacent notes always are separated by an interval class 1, and that this pairing is emphasized by how the row is realized in the score. Row P1 pairs pitch classes 1 with 2, 3 with 4, 5 with 6, 7 with 8, 9 with 10, and 11 with 0. Let's hear the first phrase of this movement again, in which you can hear this emphasis on interval class 1. In the next row of this work, R5, the same pitch class pairs are invariant, in other words, adjacent in more than one row, even though their place in the row and their order changes. You'll find the same invariances in the next row, R11, as well. In fact, the row is constructed such that any even transposition of P1 produces the same invariant dyads. I'll call this set of rows the 1-2 group, as it always pairs pitch class 1 with pitch class 2. Names of rows in this group always contain odd integers, P1 and R1, P3 and R3, P5 and R5, etc. In contrast, any odd transposition of the row realigns the dyads, which I'll show with the row P2. Pitch class 0 now is paired with pitch class 1, 2 with 3, 4 with 5, 6 with 7, 8 with 9, and 10 with 11. I'll call the set of rows with these invariances the 0-1 group, as they always pair pitch class 0 with pitch class 1. Names of rows in this group always contain either 0 or even integers, P0 and R0, P2 and R2, P4 and R4, etc. Returning to the score, we see that the first 3 rows, P1, R5, and R11, belong to the 1-2 group, as in all these rows, pitch classes 1 and 2 are invariant, 3 and 4 are invariant, etc. The next 2 rows, R6 and R8, belong to the contrasting 0-1 group. The final row of this movement, P11, returns to the 1-2 group established at the beginning, thus creating another sort of ABA prime form based on pitch class invariance. There's another aspect of row usage that also creates an ABA prime form. Let's look at the opening row, P1. Under each pitch class in this row, I've added its order position in italics. In other words, where each pitch class appears in the row, from the first position, labeled 0, to the last, labeled 11. As you can see, Lutyens maintained this order when she wrote the first phrase of this movement, as shown on the score. Likewise, the last phrase of this movement presents the pitch classes of row P11 in order. But what about the middle? Let's look at the work's second phrase, which features row R5. If you compare pitch classes in this phrase to row R5 as it appears in a row matrix, you'll see that it does not use the pitch classes in order. Pitch classes that appear in order positions 4 and 5 are reversed in the score, shown in red, as are pitch classes that appear in order positions 10 and 11, also in red. Here's an even more jumbled passage, which uses row R8, but preserves only 2 order positions, 8 and 9. A chart of order positions in each realization of a row in this movement shows that order position usage also creates an ABA prime form. The beginning and end of this work preserve the order within a row, while the middle increasingly jumbles the order of pitch classes in the rows. Many of the order position changes in the B section, shown in red, are repeated in the succeeding rows, shown by arrows. You can hear order position changes due to their effect on the 2 main melodic gestures described at the beginning of this video, gestures X and Y. The pitches of X always appear in order positions 2, 3, 4, and 5, while those of Y always appear in order positions 6, 7, 8, and 9, regardless of the row. The purple numbers above the staves refer to number of half steps, either up or down, between successive pitches. In the following 4 rows, our B section, order position changes invert at least one of these gestures, if not both. In the final A prime section, the last phrase, P11 returns gestures X and Y to their original forms. In summary, row types, invariances, and order positions manipulations delineate the form of this work. The 3 possible ABA prime forms don't align, creating dramatic tension and richness in Lutyens' short but fascinating composition.